The Kansas City Chiefs aren't replacing Travis Kelce, they're preparing for life after him. And that's a much harder decision than it sounds, because this isn't just about finding another tight end. It's about replacing one of the most important decision-making tools Patrick Mahomes has ever had. Let's start with the context. Kelce signs a new deal. 3 years, big money on paper. But structurally, it's closer to a 1-year commitment. That tells you everything. The Chiefs aren't locking into the future. They're buying time. At the same time, they're bringing in prospects like Justin Joly for pre-draft visits, a mid-round tight end, productive, athletic, still developing. On the surface, it's routine. Teams evaluate prospects every year, but this one is different because it's tied directly to a succession plan. The obvious narrative is simple. Kelce is aging. The Chiefs need depth. So they're scouting tight ends, standard roster maintenance. Draft a young player, let him develop behind a veteran, eventually transition. That's how the NFL works. But that logic doesn't fully apply here, because Kelce isn't just a tight end in this system. He is the system, at least in critical moments. Third down, red zone, broken plays. When structure collapses, Mahomes doesn't just look for Kelce. He trusts him. That trust is built over years of shared instincts. Option routes, adjustments on the fly, reading coverage the same way. That's not teachable in a single offseason. So drafting someone like Joly isn't about production. It's about projection. And more importantly, it's about redefining how the offense functions without Kelce at its center. Clipping moment number 1. You don't replace Travis Kelce with talent. You replace him with a completely different offense. Now let's go deeper. Kelce's greatest value isn't his stats. It's how he simplifies Mahomes' decisions under pressure. When the pocket tightens, when coverage rotates late, when timing breaks down, Kelce becomes the answer. Not because he's always open, but because he and Mahomes see the same thing at the same time. That eliminates hesitation. And in the NFL, hesitation is the difference between a completion and a turnover. Take Kelce out of that equation and everything changes. Now Mahomes has to process more, confirm reads, trust new timing, and that slows the offense down, at least initially, even for an elite quarterback. So where does Joly fit into this? Physically, he checks boxes, size, catch radius, red zone presence, but he's not Kelce stylistically. He's more linear, more traditional, less improvisational. That's not a weakness. It just means the role has to be different. Which brings us to the deeper layer. If the Chiefs draft Joly or someone like him, they're not trying to recreate Kelce. They're shifting the offense towards structure, more defined routes, more predictable spacing, less reliance on post-snap adjustments. That's a philosophical change. Clipping moment number 2, Kelce made chaos efficient. Without him, the Chiefs may have to make structure elite. Now here's the hidden factor. This transition isn't just about the tight end position. It's about Mahomes evolving again. Early in his career, Mahomes thrived on explosiveness, big plays, deep shots, off-script brilliance. Then defenses adjusted. So the Chiefs adapted. More patience, more underneath throws, more reliance on Kelce. Now, if Kelce fades out of the equation, Mahomes has to evolve again. Faster processing, stronger anticipation, more trust in system timing rather than improvisation. That's a different kind of quarterbacking, more subtle, more controlled, and under pressure, that becomes even more critical. Because in high leverage moments, you don't get time to think. You rely on instinct. And right now, Mahomes' instinct is Kelce. So let's identify the turning point. It's not the draft pick. It's not even Kelce's eventual decline. It's the moment the Chiefs stop designing their offense around him. That's when the shift becomes real. Because as long as the system flows through Kelce, any replacement is secondary. But once play calling changes, once reads are redistributed, once concepts evolve, that's when the transition begins, and that moment is entirely in the hands of the coaching staff. Clipping moment 3. The replacement doesn't begin when Kelce leaves. It begins when the offense stops depending on him. Now zoom out. What does this mean long term? If the Chiefs manage this transition correctly, they extend their window. They evolve before decline hits. They stay ahead of defensive adjustments. But if they miscalculate, if they assume production can be easily replaced, then the offense stalls. Not dramatically, but subtly. Fewer easy completions, more contested throws, more pressure on Mahomes to create instead of operate. And over time, that adds up. There's also a developmental timeline here. Tight end is one of the hardest positions to transition into at the NFL level. Blocking schemes, route adjustments, coverage recognition. It takes time. So even if Jolie becomes a contributor, he won't immediately replicate impact, which means the Chiefs are entering a bridge period, a phase where the offense is neither fully old nor fully new. And those phases are where decision-making matters most. In the end, this isn't about Justin Joly. It's about identity. The Chiefs built a dynasty with a quarterback-tight end connection that redefined how the position is used. Now they're facing the hardest part of sustained success, evolving before the decline becomes visible. Because replacing Travis Kelce isn't a personnel move, it's a philosophical shift, and the moment they commit to it, ruined. That's the moment everything changes. This is how it starts, not with a farewell, not with an announcement, with a quiet meeting. Because while Travis Kelce is still under contract, still the face of the offense, the Kansas City Chiefs are already looking ahead, and they're not hiding it. An official visit, a draft prospect, a name most fans didn't expect to matter this soon. Justin Joly. That's the signal. Because you don't bring in a tight end like this unless you're preparing for something bigger. And in Kansas City, that something has been coming for a while. Kelce just signed a 3-year deal. On paper, it looks like stability. In reality, it's flexibility, a structure that gives the Chiefs an out after 1 year. That's not a coincidence. That's planning. Because as dominant as Kelce has been, all pro seasons, double-digit Pro Bowls, 3 Super Bowls, time doesn't stop. Not even for the most reliable weapon in the National Football League in the King Sportcates, and the Chiefs know it. So now they're doing what great organizations always do, preparing before they're forced to react. Enter Joly, 6'3", physical, productive, nearly 500 yards and 7 touchdowns last season at NC State. Strong hands, clean route runner, the kind of player who doesn't just fill a role, he grows into one. But here's the tension. He's not a finished product. Not yet. He missed testing at the combine, limited at his pro day with a hamstring injury. Scouts saw flashes, not certainty. And that's where this decision gets complicated, because replacing Kelce isn't like replacing a position. It's replacing a system. He's not just a tight end. He's the outlet, the mismatch, the answer when everything breaks down. And for Patrick Mahomes, that connection has been automatic for years. You don't draft that, you build it over time. Which brings us to the turning point. This isn't about finding the next Kelce right now. It's about starting the transition before it's too late. Because if the Chiefs wait until Kelce is gone, they fall behind. If they start now, they buy time. Time for a young player to develop. Time for Mahomes to build, time to reshape the offense without losing its identity overnight. That's what this visit represents. Not urgency, foresight. But make no mistake, it also changes the dynamic. Because once you start bringing in potential replacements, the clock becomes real. For the team, for the player, for the entire offense. And while Kelce is still producing, still leading, still commanding attention, the Chiefs are already thinking about what comes next. That's how dynasties stay alive, not by holding on too long, but by knowing exactly when to start letting go.